Good morning and welcome to the Mayor's Weekly. We're pleased to have you with us today, early November, and Thanksgiving just a few weeks away. It's just a wonderful time of year, and from City Hall, we hope things are going well with you. Joining me today is our Chief Financial Officer and City Clerk, Kathy Shamliss, and what we want to talk about this morning is try to give you some insight and some understanding about federal monies that are, I would say, cascading across this country, wouldn't you, Kathy?
Yes, sir.
And I guess it's most commonly referred to as COVID money, and but there are acronyms flowing out there, and it's just dizzy. And I read the news and how you make sense of it. The COVID money, as it is correctly labeled, is the American Recovery Plan money. Well, the acronym that spun out of that's ARP. Well, we all know there's an entity out there, Association of Retired People. It provides travel services and that sort of thing to senior citizens, and no way is that connected. And then I saw something the other day, ARPA. I don't know what the A stands for, man. But what we're talking about is probably 3 months ago, 4 months ago, President Biden was successful in getting the Congress to pass the American Recovery Plan that provided a huge sum of money to be divvied up across the country, municipal governments, county governments, state governments, and if you're a governmental entity, well, if you're a state, county, or municipal government, you're getting some money, aren't you? And
yes,
and what we know about Jasper, I think it's driven by population. Is that right? The more population, the bigger you allocation of money. What we know about our city is that we have been told that we will get $3.2 million. One of the things that validates that we're told that the money would be paid in two parts, roughly 12 months apart. Our first payment was $1.6 million, and we've received that, haven't we, Kathy?
Yes, sir.
And great to get $1.6 million. It's going to be even better if we get the other half, which we think we will. But the challenge, the rules that govern that money are extensive. And if you read in the national news, I know the state of Alabama has been drawing some pretty sharp criticism about the way the state's spending some of their ARP money. If you've read our local news, some of the governmental entities across Walker County have made expenditures, and that's their call, and our job is not to evaluate what they're doing, critique in any way. That's their business and none of ours. Our business is to look after the city of Jasper. Kathy and I talked about this and thought it would be in order to try to give you some insight of where we're at and what's driving our thinking. And you haven't read about us being in the paper, read about us in the paper, I should say, spending money, and there are reasons for that. And Kathy, I know you have read extensively. I've read extensively, and things happening every day. Just yesterday, the Attorney General of the state of Alabama issued an opinion about the way the money could be spent. And you've got federal rules over here, you got state rules. And Kathy, you could talk till lunchtime about this, I know. But could you kind of give an overview of where we're at and what you're seeing?
Well, where we're at is we continue to look for projects that we feel will be in compliance with what the Department of Treasury has issued as a eligible use for the funding. And the eligible uses that's been defined by the Treasury are things that would respond to COVID-19 public health emergency or the negative impact from COVID-19, or to respond to workers that are performing essential work. They also provide to the extent that a city has had a reduction in revenue to replace the reduction of the revenue from the COVID-19 funds. And then you can make a necessary investment in water, sewer, or broadband. But there's all kind of regulations within those four main areas. And what we might see is something that you could use the money for an investment in a water or sewer project. The regulations will provide that may not be an eligible use. So you have to be extremely careful, and there are a lot of regulations to this. You know, Mayor, we have looked at some funds, and we've provided some fund use from the COVID-19 money. We were able to take about $30,000 and send over to the Walker Area Community, not Community Foundation, but down to the
Housing Authority.
Down to the Housing Authority to provide some relief for rental of assistance that would prevent some people from being evicted.
Yeah.
That is an eligible use because it was a negative impact of COVID. So what we can do with the funds, like I say, is very limited in that you do have to fit it within those four areas that I've laid out. One thing that you can do to perhaps use the funds for public health, that might be to help reduce the negative impact of COVID, and we've talked about it, Mayor, maybe using some of the funds for outdoor facilities or the improvement of outdoor facilities for like our park playgrounds. We're exploring the possibility of that. Maybe one of the things that the regulations say you can do is buy capital equipment that might help reduce the spread of COVID. And one of those things we're looking at would be a body scanner for the police department. Another area we're looking at is maybe some renovation of this facility down on the first floor as it relates to the court operations, trying to get enough space in that court area to be able to spread people out so they're not so jam-packed together. We are looking at possibly some type of payout to employees. That's being discussed, and we don't know what form that's going to take. We have to be careful to be in compliance now, as we know, with state law as well as the federal law.
Well, and we want to highlight this, that we're not unreasonably withholding payment to our employees. The model that I look at, and I look at often, I try to look at models that are working, that are proven, and that model's Huntsville, Alabama. Mm-hmm. And to validate what I'm about to share with you, you can look in the archives of AL.com about a week, no more than 2 weeks ago, and you'll see what Huntsville is talking about, how they can spend the money. They are still not settled on how you could pay that money out to employees, and they have a top national law firm that represents them, and they're trying to understand what you can do with that. So it's not that we don't want to help our employees, but we don't want to help them in a way that's detrimental to the operation of this city. True. And when I say detrimental, how could that be? Kathy, what we know is that we have to report how we spend this money, and I'm talking about not a simple report, but a detailed report with some narrative of how you tie it to the reason for having this money. And you can only surmise that if you don't get it right, that you could have an expenditure disallowed. And if that were to happen, if it can happen, then we'd have to reach into the monies of the city of Jasper and reimburse the federal government. We don't want to be a part of that. And let me tell you about this decision. Decision how we spend this money will not be made by Kathy or myself. It'll be made by the city council. It rests with them. You know, we can't appropriate money, whatever. But our job is to learn and do everything in our power to make sure that we do it right.
That's correct, and we do know that we cannot use it for paving.
Yeah.
Or for paying down a retirement, I believe it said retirement liability, or a pension, I believe is the
Right.
word they use. So, you know, we try to learn from all the documents and information that's being put out, but it's changing. It's changing daily.
And, you know, you spend the money today and the rules change tomorrow. I don't know if you have any protection there or not, but Kathy, we know this, that we have a time frame within which to use this money, and I guess if not, you have to send it back. But, what was it, 4 years?
I think you have to have it obligated by 2024, by the end of
2024, so 3 years out that you have to have. Personally, I believe that there's going to have to be some clarification at the national level as to how these monies can be spent. But there is a lot of money across this country sitting on the sideline, and the reason it's on the sideline is for reasons like we just shared, isn't it? So
Yes, sir.
you could see a huge influx of money if you get clarity for that. If you can't and folks don't spend it, then I think the desired impact of that money just won't materialize.
And that's exactly right.
And I guess what I would like to see you take away is if you hear COVID-19 money, that equals American Recovery Plan money, ARP money. That's one and the same thing. That we will get $3.2 million. We want to spend every penny of it right here in Jasper, making Jasper better. But our commitment to the people is we're going to be smart about it and minimize the risk in every way that we can, and we'll move at whatever speed is prudent. And if it's not, then we're not going to put it on the table and ask the council to approve whatever. We're going to put it on the table with an understanding that what we're asking for is a legitimate expenditure.
That's what we hope to achieve.
That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
That's right. So if you have questions about that, we'd like to hear from you. I said we're excited. You know, $3.2 million is a lot of money, and there are many things in our city that we could use it for that would be a nice improvement. And we hope that we can, again, to get more clarification about how we can use these monies. Like I said, based on my reading of the Attorney General's opinion, it was issued yesterday, that makes things a little more challenging. It's just another set of hoops that you're going to have to jump through and understand. And but I know legal counsel for large metropolitan areas will be looking at this, and I know our legal municipalities will look at it and give us their thoughts on what happened yesterday. But again, if you have questions, let us know, and we'll do our best to answer your questions. But again, we won't spend every penny of this money in Jasper, Alabama, but again, we're going to be prudent about how we do it. Thank you for being with us today, and we'll look forward to being with you next week.